18th. And Larry is with us. So this is the 18th of September. Take it away, Larry.
Thank you. Well, folks, today I want to make it your day. So whatever you want me or us to talk about, please send it in to Mary Ellen now, please, through the chat. Any of you that are there. How many have we got up on the chat, or how many have we got here now?
Well, we've got two people in the chat, but it's not showing anybody live yet because of the 2-minute delay.
Oh, okay. Well, let me dance now a minute for the people that are here.
We've got 8 now. So.
All right. Let me dance a little bit longer until the rest join us. And I understand we have someone here from the United Kingdom. Welcome.
Yep.
Welcome to you. Thank you for coming. I'd like to know how you heard about where we're at, if you don't mind telling us how you heard about it.
What you mean heard about this program?
Yes. How you heard about joining us. The news out of Israel, I just checked with Mary Ellen as of about an hour ago, it was tied. But it's so close that Netanyahu's got to look at restructuring the party to deal with the number of seats that have changed or will change. But this race with Netanyahu is very significant to us. Probably not in the way you think. Number one, his opponent is very much contrary to popular opinion. Although he has a history of being conservative, he has, of recent years, shown a tendency to align himself with the Arabs in that country.
Is that why they were so concerned about Arabs coming in to vote?
Yes, that's exactly why. So this is not very good for Israel or for America in that regard. But the reason this race is so important to us, Benjamin Netanyahu has suffered almost exactly what President Trump has. He's been accused of a crime, and if you followed it, you know that the accusation is wild at best. They have not been able to substantiate any part of it, much like with President Trump with Russia and obstruction of justice. As a matter of fact, in Israel, I was told by Ben, they have done virtually the same thing to him that they did to President Trump in some of the findings they've got in the crime thing that they're going after him for. They have actually constructed or changed the laws in such a way to where, guess what? Now, in Israel, if you're a Netanyahu supporter, you suffer from you're guilty unless you can prove you're innocent. Also, the court there, or the investigators there that were looking into it, found that they couldn't prove him guilty, but they couldn't prove he wasn't. Does that not sound familiar?
Oh, yeah.
So you see, guys, this is what I've been trying to tell you. By all normal standards, for years and years past, the normal standards, based off the productivity of President Trump's administration and his tenure as president, based off what they have done, what they have actually accomplished, it should be hands down victory. Should be over. And then add to that, look at the list of nutbag candidates the Democrats have brought forward. Not a one of them, not a one, look to be any type of presidential material at all. So again, he should have a hands down, don't even worry about it, victory. But as you see with Netanyahu, that's not the case. When the media turns on you in this country, when the media does the constant attacks that it has done on President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu, it has an impact, folks. It does. It makes a huge difference. We sit here and we think, my God, look at the hearing with Lewandowski, right? I mean, that's such a joke. It's embarrassing. That's what we think. That's what we see. But you need to switch and watch CNN. You need to switch and watch MSNBC. I hate to keep asking y'all to do it, but you ought to do it. Because they don't treat it like it was a joke. They don't treat it like the Democrats on the committee made literal fools of themselves. They don't talk about the fact that he had been before that very committee twice before, answering the same questions twice before. They don't say that. You know what they're saying? Obviously, he had something to hide by the clever way he dodged questions. They're also saying that he was hand-directed by the attorney from the White House that was sitting by him. On every answer, the attorney from the White House was telling him what to do. Now, I watched some of it. I didn't get to watch all of it. But let me assure you, I never, in the whole time I watched him, saw him, well, I take it back, I saw him a couple of times turn his head. But as far as steadily being told what to do, I never saw that in the exchange myself. The constant exchange.
Wait, you're breaking up. So say that last sentence again.
So you see, if you are the 50, are we still here, Mary Ellen? Are we still on?
You are
Mary Ellen?
now. You had broken up. Yes, you're here. You had broken up, but you're back.
But you're buffering. Well, you're buffering, so I think it's on your end that you're buffering us off. But anyway, point being, they don't see it. So 50% of this nation believe right now, today, that hearing was a joke against the administration. They believe the administration tried to rig that hearing. As they say on CNN, tried to rig one of the panels they had. One of the people said they did in this hearing exactly what Trump has done all the way through the investigations. Just through legal wrangling, avoided answering questions relative to the investigation. That's what half this country heard. That's what half this country believes. Let's take our half. Remember, 60% of our half of the people that are supposed to vote in 2020, 60% of them are not hardcore Trump supporters. Many of Trump's votes in 2016 were people that, to be honest, held their nose and voted for Trump because they would not vote for Hillary. A good portion of that 60% was that. We are hoping that today, those people that did take that posture are relieved that President Trump has been well worth voting for more than just not voting for Hillary. And by the way, I think it's been made somewhat public, so I think I can talk about part of it. There are members of the FBI that were involved in the investigation of Hillary or the non-investigation, that are willing to talk, are willing to testify against Hillary, Comey, and that whole ordeal. So that's coming. And as I have promised you, Hillary's out of trouble in some areas because of the thing Comey gave her, but not in every area. So hang on. Hillary's not over the hump. By the way, I don't know if I told you yesterday, I can't remember. I was so sick yesterday, and today too, but I can't remember if I told you that there will be an article coming out in the National Enquirer. I know some of you go, oh great, the National Enquirer. Well, folks, I've been saying for years, the National Enquirer, relative to stories that I've been a part of, has been a lot more credible than any of the mainstream. Yeah, the National Enquirer has been a more credible publication than the majority. No, not the majority, all of the mainstream publications. Now, I know they do stories about space baby, aliens, etc. Some of that stuff's not bad, but that's what they do. But I'm talking about the coverage of actual political stories. They have been quite accurate. The story that I'm participating in, I must be careful, but they had gotten wind that former President Bill Clinton is not long for this world. They are on to a story that he has suffering from the early stages of dementia and several other diseases, or a couple of other diseases that are fatal, that I'll let them tell you about, since that didn't come from me. But they asked what I knew, and I told them. Now, last night, when I did Pastor Ernie Sanders' program, I had to do something based off of the story coming out. Some of you may find it weird, silly coming from me, but I felt compelled to have to do it, especially in front of that audience that had been with me all these years, all along the way in my struggle against the Clintons. They were one of the first radio programs that ever let me come on the air back when nobody believed me. And what I did is I said a prayer. And basically, I wanted to ask God if Clinton has asked for forgiveness. And I said, if God needed to ask me, which he doesn't, I wish he would let him in. Now, guys, coming from me, I got to tell you, that was hard, very hard. Bill Clinton wants a friend, and because of our battle, our feud, my family have suffered more than anybody can imagine. And you might say, well, it's jealousy. My family suffered and his family went on to be president, etc., etc. No, my family suffered because I told the truth. Once in my life, I told the truth. That's why my family suffered. And yes, I am bitter against Bill Clinton. I am. But not for what he did to me and my family even. That changed somewhere along the way, early on. I'm bitter at him because of what he has done to our country. It was him becoming president that brought the pathway for what we're seeing today. His was the system that brought on the ability for this nation to fall under socialism. It was his system. I know because I helped build that system. But in any event, that's me versus him here on earth. I do not wish ever, I don't wish ever to have someone spend an eternity in hell. I don't. So if that makes me silly, weak, fool, call me all those names. But I think you need to know, as hard as I'll fight him here on earth, as hard as I'll expose him for all the wrongs he's done to this country, and I certainly will do it, I do not wish him to spend eternity in hell. If he has finally made peace with God and repents. That's his decision, not mine. I can't decide for him whether to make peace with God or not. I can only control what I can ask for. So if that's offended any of you, I'm sorry. Now, we had on that, by the way, Mary Ellen, does anybody come through with anything they want to talk about?
Well, Gerald says, even if it looks like President Trump will win the 2020 election, please don't stay home. Get out and vote. We have no idea what the Democrats will pull.
Absolutely, Gerald, thank you. Couldn't be said better, bud. Could not be said better. I'm serious, folks. If there's something you would like us to talk about, please tell us now. And if you have questions, send them in now.
Rob thinks it was strange that Trump asked Lewandowski to speak to Sessions, and then Lewandowski immediately went on vacation for 2 weeks.
Well, I will tell you this, if I can tell you this without messing up. There is a backstory to that. There is a backstory to why Lewandowski went on vacation basically right after he was asked to do that. It's not what you think. It is not. Lewandowski did not chicken out. He did not turn into a turncoat, none of that. But there is a backstory. There is a reason that happened. The Democrats don't want to know the reason, folks. I assure you, they don't want to know the reason. And they know they don't want to know the reason. They just want to make it illegal for President Trump to ask. That's all they're concerned about. They're not concerned about the truth of that situation. I promise you, they're not. So please don't think there's some mystery that might expose the president or Lewandowski or anybody, because there's not. There's a backstory, but it's nothing like that. What else you got, Mary Ellen?
What do you know about the Clinton donor who had 3 men?
Ed Buck. I'm sure that's who you're talking about. I think his name's Ed Buck. I hope I've got that right.
Okay.
You'll have to forgive me, folks. I'm not hitting on all cylinders again today. Please forgive me. So if I may have brain cramps periodically. It's fascinating that here is another of Clinton's buddies, by the way, a big buddy of Epstein. And this guy had 2 young black queers die in his apartment before. This one was the third one. And golly gee, somebody is just now saying, isn't it odd that 3 young black homosexuals would die of overdoses of drugs in that man's apartment? So they're bringing him in. But that also is one of the reasons there is an interest with the FBI is his connection to none other than Bill Clinton and Epstein. So watch that story. It's liable to get interesting. It's liable to get very interesting. Now, by the way, I am appalled, sickened about another story I heard yesterday or maybe the day before. I just heard a little bit about it. But it comes from a place called Indiana, Illinois. I think it's what it's called, or Illinois, Indiana, anywhere.
Yeah, from South Bend.
This is a doctor that performs abortions. But when they arrested him, he had 2,200 plus fetuses in his basement.
2246.
Mm-hmm. Folks, what kind of animal is that? What kind of, it's one thing to perform abortions, period. They ought to quit using the term abortion. That's a nice way, that's a politically correct way to skirt the real word. The real word's murder, folks. Murder. Murder. This guy murdered 2,200 babies and kept the bodies as trophies or to sell body parts. Apparently, this guy was so bold, he advertised having fetus parts for sale. Now, I ask you, what kind of person does that? And then, the thing that I heard that's making me sick to my stomach is the women had to sign agreements to let him do it. Have we gotten that sick, that demented? Really? Have we? Have we gone that far? And by the way, unlike the shooting, the mass killing in Odessa and El Paso, which they were bad, Florida, it was bad. I agree. They were all terrible, terrible, nightmarish events. Do you see the same media explosion? Over 2,200 fetus bodies being kept in this abortion doctor's basement? Don't you think that should be equally grabbing the news? And they hardly mention it. Hardly mention it.
I mean, even Larry, when you think of the Democrats and what they're yelling and screaming about versus the deaths that are happening with abortion, just abortion in general, let alone something as heinous as this doctor's deeds.
Well, when they give you the number of people that are killed a year by guns, yes, it's a lot of people. It is, I'm sure. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's a lot. And it's especially a lot if one of the people killed was your family or friend. But they're jumping through hoops to try to get gun laws to prevent it. And yet, Mary Ellen, how many, you would know better than I, how many babies are aborted every year in this country? How many babies are murdered every year in this country through abortion?
It's close to 1 million. Close to 1 million.
and you want to outlaw guns, it don't make sense to me. It don't. No more than it makes sense to me that we're sitting here with immigration problems that are exploding, 100,000 plus a month illegals coming into this nation. Now we have a bulletin. Maybe I wasn't supposed to tell you, but there is an alert from Al Qaeda and ISIS is they are actively soliciting members or people to come into this country and blow stuff up. And they want them to come. And they're coming through our southern border. And yet the Democrats in Washington hold a hearing about Lewandowski, or however you say his name. Think about it. Here we are in a crisis of serious national security. And they hold the hearing they did yesterday. And as I tried to tell y'all yesterday, that hearing should be a good wake-up call for all of you. That's what a communist country's judicial system looks like. That's how it works. If they can't find something on you, that's some law that you broke since the day you were born till present, if they can't find anything, they'll make it up. And if they don't make it up, you know what they'll do? They'll change the rules to make something that you did do illegal. Well, that's what they did yesterday. Not only did they change the rules, but let's look at the list of things they did to change the rules. Number one, Lewandowski volunteered to come and testify. Yet, a week ago or a week before the hearing, they sent him a subpoena. Why'd they do that? Why? I can tell you, for show. For show. Then they changed the rules for the first time in history of the committee and let staffers
Whoops, we lost you. Boy, they don't like us talking about this, do they? Larry, we lost you. Gloria, you're asking about somebody being aware of the New World Order plan. You're saying at that time, at what time, Gloria? Clarify that. Oh boy, let me text him so he knows. Larry, we lost you. So.
I see you.
Yeah, you're back.
I've been back. I saw you.
Okay.
So anyway, I don't know did you hear the part of bringing in the outside counsel?
Now, you said they changed the rules for the first time in history and they let
staffers question him. And then they went further than that and brought in an outside legal counsel to question him. Never been done before. Never.
But aren't these staffers, a lot of them just kids?
Well, some are. Some aren't. I don't have, it's not my call. I don't know. Some are, some aren't. But the point is, you don't do that. That's not what the hearing's about. And by the way, when Lewandowski was subpoenaed, it never mentioned in the subpoena this change of rules, which should have allowed him, of course, the right to decline coming with grounds. They didn't tell him, although he found out about it, but they didn't tell him officially. That's the way it works, guys. That's the way it works.
Yikes.
And then when they pull this kind of trick, you would say, well, how can they pull this kind of trick? Because, you know, you and I and all of us here on this program, we saw it, we caught it. That's crazy. That's breaking the rules of tradition since we were created. And, you know, we're sitting here going, golly, golly, golly. But then this is the second part of communism and socialism. When they pull these kind of heinous acts through the judicial system, you have to have one thing to be able to pull it off. And that's generally called a state-run media that either doesn't cover it, so therefore it didn't ever happen really in the eyes of the people, or if they cover it, they do what CNN and MSNBC do and shade it to look bad for anybody connected to Trump and look good for the Democrats. This is pure communism, guys. Pure communism. And I did find out late yesterday, in case you want to know, it looks like the council, known as a progressive council, informed the DNC that they want them to drop Biden. So I can tell you folks, Joe Biden will not be now the nominee for president from the Democratic Party. I am not sure, my source did not know if they've even decided yet, but he did not know who they have chosen to be their candidate. But they have officially dropped Biden. That's a news flash for you that nobody else knows. Now they may talk about it on radio or television or whatever, and the internet, but you're, as far as I know, the first group that knows it to be an absolute fact. He is dropped and he will not be the DNC candidate. Any questions now?
Yeah. Were you aware of the plan for the New World Order? She says at that time, I'm not sure at what time, and I asked her to clarify, and she didn't.
Was I aware of the plans of the New World Order? Yes, I was. Have been for years and years and years. Simply because of my connection with Clinton and the Stevens brothers. I was involved in some of the early meetings that y'all call Bilderberger and stuff like that, pulling security for Clinton and being with him during those times. That's why I know a lot about what's coming, because I was there when they were laying out what they were going to do and how. What else you got?
Do you think Robert O'Brien is a good pick for National Security Advisor?
To be honest, I do not know him. I know very little about him, maybe no more than what's been put out on the media at this point, so I don't know. I hope President Trump got good counsel, and I hope he's the right person.
Do you think we're getting set to attack Iran? The Houthis sent the drones from a part of Iraq that they control and are blaming Iran. Oops, we lost Larry. I think, oh, he's back. Hang on. You're back. Hi. Larry? Larry, hello. Sorry, folks. I don't know what's. Try again.
Hello, I'm back. Are you there?
Yeah, you're back.
All right, folks, I think either somebody doesn't like what I'm telling you today,
I think so.
or this computer system's buffering, because this time, Mary Ellen, it's not coming from my end, because you go off the screen and just start circling real slow with a little dot in it.
And that's not happening here, so I am not aware of it, and it's not happening on my phone. So.
Okay. Well, we'll go as we can, but it sure seems like somebody doesn't like the topics we're talking about.
Exactly.
Anyway, what's the next question?
The attack, Iran, Houthis sent the drone from part of Iraq, blaming Iran. So what's really that you're allowed to say?
I can only say this much because I have heard it said. It has been proven that Iran was involved in the attack on the oil facility in Saudi Arabia. It was Iran. Apparently, Iran facilitated the Houthis from Yemen to carry out the attack. And that's what's been publicly, I think, said by now. I can tell you that if you mention Iran and you mention the Houthis and their involvement in the Saudi attack, I would add a third name, which would be China. China is very much, I believe, my opinion, but let me qualify my opinion. It's a little bit more than just my opinion. I believe China was involved in some of it as well. Now, the next question somebody's truly or surely going to ask, what are we going to do about it? We are in a CA in the military and special ops is called a CA. And a CA means conundrum ambush. Conundrum ambush. The conundrum ambush, when it's dealing with military stuff, is the worst thing a commander would ever have to be involved in. That's when you have an ambush and you know it, and you know if you walk into it, everybody's going to die, but you have to walk into it to complete your overall mission. This qualifies as a CA, but not necessarily in regards to you've got to put your men in there and you're going to lose them and you know it, but you still got to do it. This conundrum ambush is this attack, I believe, which is why I dropped the third name, China. This attack, along with the one before, these are all designed to draw President Trump into taking overt action against Iran. And since this attack happened by the Houthis against Saudi Arabia, should President Trump take a military action against Iran, well, then it looks like President Trump has taken the first strike option against Iran. Now, when you take the first strike option, that would turn the majority of the nations in the world against us because we're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to, if you're America, you're not supposed to attack anybody until you've been attacked personally or as a country. But now that you have the signature of Iran clarified that they were involved in it, if they didn't spearhead it, they can't go untouched. So I would suggest, my opinion, that President Trump would watch for Saudi Arabia and what they intend to do, and us take a backup role to the Saudis. However, the problem there, the royal family in Saudi Arabia will probably put it back on President Trump to get him to do something because they don't want the things to escalate in their country. They don't.
But
They don't want, I'm sorry.
But we're also seeing attacks on oil refineries in Italy, and I thought there was another one. I can't remember.
Well, just know President Trump's got a tough decision to make. Saudi Arabia does not, now, let's call this my opinion. Saudi Arabia, in my opinion, doesn't really want to take a massive, hard-hitting counterpunch against Iran, since it came from the Houthis, quote unquote, for fear that there would be an escalation of violence in Saudi Arabia. So they would rather we handle it. They could blame it all on us and try to stay out of any more attacks inside their country. You just need to know President Trump is in a tough situation. He truly is. And at this point, with how blatant the attack was in Saudi Arabia, the evidence pointing towards Iran is positive. All I can say is I stand behind the president, whatever he feels is the best decision for our nation. You know, guys, this is one of those times when we, the people, are not privileged to all of the ins and outs and all of the stuff that's going on, which we're not supposed to know in many cases for national security purposes. And this is one of those times where you just, we elected him, we've got to trust him. And I will say, based off of what he has done since I have seen him be president of the United States, I do trust him. So let's watch and see how he handles it. What's your next question, Mary?
Well, I heard that there were sanctions being increased. I think I had heard.
Yeah. Well, that's the first step that he should take, and he did.
Yeah.
He has put the squeeze on Iran with much, much, much stiffer sanctions and broader sanctions. So yes, that happened. I left that out. I'm sorry. That's the first volley. Now, does he back that up with a military act? That's up to him.
Okay. Gloria said that she understands Barr was involved in a conundrum ambush with cocaine smuggling, which makes him worried about him being deep state.
Okay, I'm not aware of such a situation. It doesn't mean it didn't happen. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I'm not aware of such a situation. But I do know that Bill Barr understands the seat that he is in today. And from everything I have seen thus far, and I'm talking about what I have seen, he is the real deal. Now, if he backs off prosecuting Andy McCabe, then I will be the first to get in line and say, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. It looks like he's deep stater all the way. But until that happens, based off what I know he's doing, he and Durham, no. He's doing a good job and he's doing it right. Now, he's got massive problems. Not talking about that conundrum ambush situation. I'm talking about he's got massive problems of threading a needle of how to prosecute these cases. Never forget the percentage I told you just in the grand jury pool. 92% of the grand jury pool is deep state oriented. So if the grand jury pool is that leveraged, just imagine what the trial pool is. It'll be the same. Now, to anybody that doesn't know what I'm saying, what that means is if you've got an entire pool of candidates for you to pick to put on your jury in a case, And 92% of them are of a persuasion that puts them automatically against you in court. You're not going to win. You're not going to win at all. It ain't happening, especially when you deal in criminal court. It would be almost impossible in civil court. In civil court, you simply have a preponderance of evidence as the goalpost or the standard. But in criminal court, you've got to get the jurors all to agree, proof beyond shadow of doubt. What's next, Mary Ellen?
Okay, we've got a few questions. Somebody wants to know how to get the book. That's at nicholslive.com. And yes, the funds do go to Larry for it. Nichols.com, you can buy it there. Somebody's asking about a GoFundMe. We had a GoFundMe account and they stopped forwarding the money to us. And I've been trying to contact them and I haven't had a consistent effort.
Well, let me say about GoFundMe. I don't want a GoFundMe account, y'all. I'm sorry. I don't want one. There have been so many scandals and things that have gone wrong with GoFundMe that I don't ever want to be a part of it again. We didn't get the money the last time. I ain't doing it again.
Mm-hmm.
Count me out on GoFundMe. It's not fair. It's not fair to the people that sinned, and it's wrong. So what else you got? Oh, and you can get the book where she said, and yes, it goes to me.
Yeah, nicholslive.com.
As I was told from Mark this morning in a text, we are one T-shirt short of completing an order. So if anybody wants one, I told him to go ahead and fill the order. I don't know how we'll do it. We'll just have to make it up. But I told him to fill the order with one shirt, a black one with our logo, of course. And it's for the president. And I told him, if anybody's got a better idea than I, get hold of Mary Ellen. But I figure he's a double or triple X size. That's all I can tell you. But the thing that I need somebody to do, if you will, is figure out how we could send it to him, what address would get it to him. If someone would do that, you would be a great help to Mark. What's next?
That's all we've got.
Okay. I do want to tell you, I was on with Pastor Sanders last night, and I introduced to his program Chad Perda, who I plan to have on our program. He is running for Dallas County Sheriff. I think I've told you all this before, but if I haven't, he's running for Dallas County Sheriff in Texas. And that's the county, of course, that Dallas is in, and Garland, Arlington. You might wonder, why would I want, and I'm helping his campaign, why would I want him on Ernie's show that is a nationwide program? It's because of the model that Chad has come up with that I very much believe in. Basically, what it does, so that nobody gets mad at me, like I told you before, I told you about this, I think yesterday or whatever. I'm not speaking with a forked tongue here. There are two types of people in America presently. There are the people that want sanctuary states, cities, and counties. And there are people that are hardline that want every one of these illegals out of here. I will admit, I'll give full disclosure, I'm more in that latter box. I am. We should not be in this shape. But this is where Chad Perda's model comes in. We shouldn't be in this shape, but we are. And as y'all saw with the hearing yesterday, there's not going to be any hearings in Washington that are really trying to get together and solve 100,000 of these people coming in each month. There's nothing even in the future on the docket to come in and talk about it. So we have to have a way to coexist And that's what his model does. It doesn't give criminal, illegal sanctuary. He's fully in cooperation with ICE and immigration officials, law enforcement. He's fully in cooperation with them, except he is not going to allow ICE to come in and pull blanket raids street by street, just looking for people that are here illegally. He's not. Now, you may not like that about him, but I'm going to tell you that's the right place to be at the present time. If we don't have a way, if you find them, to get rid of them, then it makes no sense to go street to street, door to door, and find them, because we have nothing we can do with them once you do. So what Chad Purda came up with is a way to coexist. That's what it's about, coexisting, until the federal government, who has purview, develops a program that will solve this situation. Do we have any listeners? Are there any of you listening to me that live in Dallas County, Texas? If you do, would you please send a text to Mary Ellen? How do they do that, Mary Ellen?
I'm going to put it in right now.
Okay.
It's 240-499-6729. And if you're in Dallas, let us know so that we can get you in touch with Chad. Is that what we're doing, Larry?
Well, that, or he's got a couple of position statements that what I think we should do, if any of y'all live in his area, where if you're going to be voting for Dallas County Sheriff, I'd like to send you, when we get them, position papers so you know personally where this man stands. We will have him on the program here. But if you live in Dallas County, Texas, please get in touch with Mary Ellen and let us tell you about Chad Purda, because he needs your help. He needs you to know what he's doing, how he's doing it, and for you to spread the word.
Mike, in Southern California, they just passed a bill in California telling pastors they must embrace the LGBTQ community. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, this is one of the reasons why I love Pastor Sanders. The government, state, federal, have no business telling the church what to do. The church's orders come from God, not from government. They don't. Sorry. So to all the pastors that are hearing this crap, don't do it. Obey God. That's all you got to do. Just obey the word of God. I ain't no religion-y person. I can't spell Philippines and all of them kind of steams and stuffs and Nichols, and I can't do that. But I can tell you this. I know God. And you better listen to him, not these nutbags. Another thing you may want to know, folks, 2 days ago, or maybe it was 3 days ago, the dealing with red flag laws, there was a bill being put together to try to use the red flag laws and make them apply specifically to gangs. And guess what? The Democrats refused, not specifically to apply to them, but to include them. They would not let this proposed law or bill, they would not let it even include gangs as a part of the red flag. Can you believe that? This is how far we are out of touch with the world. We're just gone. Not the world, but
They want the gangs to help them to destroy us, huh?
Mm-hmm. Sure sounds like it. I don't know how you would interpret it any other way.
Somebody's asking, will there be actual fighting against the government?
Not from us, not from me, not from you, most probably not from our children. But if we lose in 2020, there is a better than even chance that our grandchildren at some point in the future will be around when blood will have to be shed to try to get our country back. That's a fact. Can I prove it? No. But I tell you it's a fact. It's just the cycle of life, folks. They're going to take our form of government. They're going to take our freedoms away from us. We now, those of us alive now, we're going to see it. I don't want to, but we're going to see it if we lose in 2020. Every one of us on this call, less those that die off between now and that time, we're going to see it. And we're going to be in shock. And no one's going to know what to do, how to do. Our hands will just simply be tied just due to the shock of the change. The same will hold true with our children. Our children will see it. And our children will be a part of having to adjust and try to realize what it is. But at some point, our grandchildren are going to remember there was a time in America when a person could breathe. There was a time when people were free, and they're going to want it back. And if they want it back bad enough, they're going to have to fight to get it. Anything else before we go?
Yeah, somebody's asking why am I not doing captions. I'm trying to take notes and transcribe the program, and so that's why you see me looking down. I'm trying to capture what Larry's saying, and I can't type in captions for what he's.
And what are they talking about? Captions.
That's where I can type something and you can see what the topic is. And there's also a way that some people have to donate through the live chat, but it costs something to set that up, and we don't have money to do that. We looked into it. Do you know anything about, Larry, about Catherine Marcy?
No, do not. Do not. I'm sorry. Maybe if somebody tells me a little about her, maybe I do and I don't realize it. But just off the cuff, no, I do not.
I have not heard the name. So was 9/11 an inside job?
No. My opinion with 9/11 is no. It was a terrorist action, and I don't believe what you saw happen is, or what you've been told happened, was the truth. I think there was more to it, but it was not an inside job, I don't believe. But here again, guys, let me bring you to where I am about it and JFK's assassination and all of the stuff. Right now, we need to save America in November of 2020. It's what we must do. We all have to focus on that day, on our mission today. If we get through that, then we can start going back and looking into things that should have been looked in properly before. But right now, please, everybody, stay focused. Stay focused. It's our country we're fighting for. Anything else, Marianne?
No, somebody would like to send a postal money order to a post office box. That's not possible. Larry cannot cash that. But John,
Let me ask you, have you got a post office box, Marianne?
I used to, but I don't right now.
All right, if you want to send a postal money order, send it to Mary Ellen, please, in her name, and she will get it to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my.
Let me tell you why, folks, so you don't think there's anything spooky about it. In Conway, Arkansas, we've tried and tried and tried. No one, not Kroger's, Walmart, they will not cash postal money orders any longer, nor will banks. So you have to get them cashed at the post office. And when you go to the post office here, they never seem to have the money to cash it. But if you want,
Oops, we lost him. So if you want to do anything other than PayPal or sending cash in the mail to Larry's address to send cash in the mail is on the website. As far as I know, he always gets it. If you ever need that verified, you can send a text to me, and I've sent the text. He can't cash checks anyway, anyhow, at all. Okay, you're these phone calls are.
yeah, well, anyway, what I would say, if you want the postal money order, you can send it to me here, and I'll try to get it cashed. But I wanted you to know the problem, and it oftentimes is easier for Mary Ellen to get one cashed and then forward the money to me than it is for me to do.
And a lot of times you're even though you may live closer to Larry, because of the postal system where I live, I usually will get mail faster than Larry will. So it'll come cross country in a couple days to me. We can use Western Union if you're sending a good chunk, you know, in the hundreds. It's not worth it to do it for a little bit. Nancy, Larry doesn't want to get into the Twin Tower implosions today. Our time's up. We can talk about that another day. We've discussed that several times in the last couple of weeks. Back to the money. The fastest way to get anything to Larry is through PayPal, nicholslive@aol.com. The next thing is cash in the mail, 58 Kensington Drive, Conway, Arkansas, 72034. That is on the website, nicholslive.com, under donate. Any other way, it's best to send a text message to me. I'll put that text number in the chat again. It's also listed underneath the video here. Send a text message, and I'll help you figure out a way to donate. We do several different possibilities. Sometimes people send me a check. Sometimes I've even run down to Western Union. It's only 10 minutes away. So if
all right, guys. Yes. Well, I think it's time for us to close today. But folks, thank you for those that helped yesterday and the day before. I could still use it today, but thank you for those that did yesterday and the day before. It was crisis time, about like it is now. So with that, I'm going to bid y'all a good day. Thanks, Mariana.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, he's been really sick the last couple of days, and we don't know why. We just really don't know why. The doctors don't know why. They are suggesting that his being off schedule because the flow of money for his meds has not been consistent. Maybe a reason. So please pray about it. Please do whatever you can. And my number's there multiple times if you need to text me. It's best to text, and then I will call you back. I'll call you back from the house line because the cell phone line, I use text message because I always get that. If you call and I'm in the wrong part of the house, you can't hear me talk and I can't hear you. So that's it for today. Thank you very much. God bless you. And we will be back tomorrow. Thanks.